Hello and welcome to Resource PNG. Coffee is an integral part of Papua New Guinea's economy. No doubt, PNG Coffee over the years has gained much welcomed international recognition, especially in regards to specialty coffee. Enjoy tonight's special on PNG Coffee.
The coffee industry, it's been introduced many years ago by early missionaries. Basically, it was to look at opportunities where they can not only grow coffee but also to supplement incomes when those missionaries were established, and also to look at potential areas where they can expand the coffee growing right throughout the world. So PNG was fortunate through those early missionaries and settlers. So from there, over the years, through the colonial administration, and there was a big push for coffee because they realized the huge demand for coffee throughout the world in terms of consumption, as well as the potential in terms of the revenue that coffee generates. Coffee was one of those major commodities that helped Papua New Guinea gain independence, and we are gratefully indebted to the coffee industry for having brought us this far. Coffee continues to provide that support in terms of social, economic and food security for our people. At this point in time, the industry supports almost 3 million people in Papua New Guinea who depends either directly or indirectly on coffee for their livelihoods. So I think as far as the industry is concerned, we have a big responsibility to ensure that coffee remains viable and coffee continues to support our people in the rural areas. In terms of the world market, PNG supplies almost 1% of the total volume because we're competing with big countries like Brazil, Colombia, Vietnam. So they actually produce the volume, but I must highlight or stress here that PNG produces the best quality coffee in the world. And so it is our responsibility as an industry to ensure that we retain a 1% share of our market in the world. So you would have noticed that we have gone out to provinces, to districts, to explain the importance of quality coffee. It's only through quality that we can continue to get good prices for our coffee, and so our farmers benefit through that.
Papua New Guinea has some fantastic coffees, and my aim has always been to try and promote those coffees to the world and have other people enjoy coffees from Papua New Guinea as much as I have. It is frustrating, and I will be honest about that. It is frustrating that in the 30-odd years, 37 years that I've been associated with the industry, that we haven't made more advances than we have. I think, the problem is a lot of times politicians and people talk about supporting the coffee industry, but only it's talk rather than action, and I think that's what's needed.
From them to us, and vice versa, we want to bring back the images of what we do with their products back to them.
One of the things I've been trying to get across is that if growers were to see coffee as a business rather than just as a cash crop which they go to when they need cash, if they actually seriously look at coffee as something which they should plan for the future for, invest in, then actually they will make a good money out of coffee. The quality of the coffee is inherently good. We have fantastic soils here, we have fantastic climate here, we have all the right ingredients to make some fantastic coffees, but somehow, we just tend to see it as a cash crop. We want it for quick cash, and I think therein lies the problem, and we've got to try and see it as a product in which we take pride, a product in which we know somebody else is going to consume. So the story for us shouldn't just end when we sell the bag. We should be worried about how people perceive the coffee, and I think that it does require a change in the way that the attitude towards coffee.
A high-level delegation comprising of 12 people from countries spread right across Europe, representing the Specialty Coffee Association of Europe, departed England in Europe for the country of Papua New Guinea, located in the South Pacific. After traveling halfway across the globe, the delegation finally arrived on the shores of Papua New Guinea at Kagamuge Airport in Mount Hagen, Western Highlands Province, via Port Moresby, the nation's capital. In Mount Hagen, they were formally received by the officers from the host organization, the Coffee Industry Corporation of Papua New Guinea, accompanied by security personnel.
One of the main ideals of the SCAE is to educate people in coffee, right from the tree to the cup. And this origin trip, like all the others, is an opportunity for people who don't know where coffee comes from or don't see the coffee to come to the country where it's grown, see it being picked, see it being processed, and follow its course right through the country of origin to see what it does. Because in Europe, we just get the green coffee beans. So we then sell them on, and then there's another part to the process, the roasting, the making of the coffee, and the serving of the coffee to the client. So this part of the chain is something we don't normally experience. So by organising these trips, I give people in the SCAE an opportunity to come to the countries and also to see the coffee.
I did not have really any expectations since I've never tasted coffee from Papua New Guinea. So coming here was an adventure for me, tasting your coffees first time in my life. But I knew that you had a very nice quality cherries and an exceptional quality. So I was expecting really high quality with a very nice taste and flavors and aromas.
The delegation's first visit from the many visits they will be undertaken in the next 7 days was Kindek Tea and Coffee Estate in the Jiwaka province.
We have got 3 units for pulping, and in a year more than 20 million cherry we are processing here. This single factory I used to do 20 million kilograms, and then in a per day basis,
I think like everybody that is busy in the coffee business and mainly as a roaster that I am, it's to see the trees. How are they growing? What are the varieties? How is the harvesting going on? Processing of the coffee, that was really what I would like to see, because I'm making some educational programs for coffee in Europe, and then I like to show some videos to the people that don't know anything about coffee. And so I like to compare one country to another one, just to show on what are the specificities, what's different from one country to another one. So coming here, I really expect to make a real coffee trip, to see the trees, to see the harvesters working, picking or stripping. I didn't know what was the best way here for the harvesting. Was it a wet processing? What is a dry processing? Was it a natural or not? That was my expectation.
What's happening in Europe is that we're seeing, if you like, the market's dividing very much into 2 clear segments. We have the mainstream coffees and we have the specialty coffees. And what we're seeing is a squeeze on the average quality milds. But what's actually happened is that a number of consumers are saying, no, we want a better cup of coffee than this. And they are prepared to pay to get a decent cup of coffee.
But in terms of volume, we have the potential to produce up to about 3 million bags, 3 to 5 million bags. But it requires a very systematic rehabilitation program to do that, because many of our trees at the moment are very, very old. They're almost 60 years old. We continue to maintain those through agronomy practices, but they would have reached their potential. And so for us, in order to achieve about 3 to 5 million bags, we need to go on a massive, systematic rehabilitation program in the country to do that.
each week, which is the
We come from many miles away, and we are the people who depend on you. Thank you. If you didn't grow the coffee and look after the coffee and make it really nice coffee, then we won't have a job. Our jobs depend on the way you grow your coffee, look after it, and make it better.
The important thing is that you've got to realise that Papua New Guinea is one country among many countries that produce coffee. And Papua New Guinea has to compete in that world environment. And the only way we're ever going to compete is by producing good quality coffee. You have fantastic soils here, you have fantastic environment here. It's perfect for coffee. And if you treat coffee as a business, which I know is the CIC message, coffee will look after you. It will be good to you.
Specialty markets are specific markets. They require specific coffee. They require that special coffee that is quite unique to PNG. That is not found anywhere else in the world. And I think given the diversity that we have and the environment that we have, I think we have those specialty coffee that they are looking for. That's one. And secondly, because of the price, world market prices for coffee, it's quite volatile, you know. We believe that by connecting with specialty market, we can at least guarantee our farmers that the price that they're getting for their coffee will be maintained at a reasonable level.
Here I've just put here the plantation coffee from Juaka. That's basically grown here in the valley of Juaka. You won't find plantations up in the mountains, it's only in the valley here. And that's the high altitude. And then we have this one is Kovan. That's we're recently trying to get these people into working together with us.
So that's really what we do in order to improve the coffee. What we're looking at is we're trying to make sure that the drink that is finally served is of the best quality. So if we can come to the country and see what the country is doing to improve its coffee, so we see the basic fundamental product, the coffee bean itself, we see how that is grown and processed to make it really good, and then we know that we've got good tools to continue with our other processes like the roasting and the making of it.
The reason that the specialty coffee market is growing, but the consumer in Europe is more and more exigent. Like everywhere, everything is increasing in price, and people are drinking more and more coffee and tea at home because it's too expensive. And I think that the Papuasian coffee has the opportunity to send over his coffee to Europe just to satisfy this kind of market, because some are extremely good and maybe a bit better than some other specialty coffees.
I think more than 50% of the coffee produced in PNG goes to Europe.
The focus is quite simple. Our challenge in the industry is, one, quality, and the second thing is volume of production. Over the years, our volume has been declining despite many attempts to revive the industry. You know, our plantations are gone, our block holders, you know, the 20-hectare blocks are gone. The industry is totally dependent on smallholders who produce almost 85% of our coffee for both domestic and as well as export. And those are the people that we need to focus on. And this is where CIC is coming to support it with government support, to focus on our smallholder farmers, to ensure that they maintain their coffee blocks, their coffee gardens, to ensure that they go back to coffee every day and do the right thing. So we continue to supply that, because once the growing stops, there's no export.
The final leg of the visit, covering the Western Highlands to Jiwaka and Simbu provinces, ended with a visit to Keto Topasi Coffee Cooperative Society, a group that is located at the border of Simbu and Eastern Highlands provinces.
We really appreciate the fact that you've given us your dancing and your music and all of the village has come out to see us. We really, really appreciate that you have come and given us such a wonderful welcome. It has been really difficult. Your pathway was blocked, but we thought we had to come to see you because you are very, very important to us. We produce coffee in Europe, but we can't do anything unless you give us the coffee from your trees and you give us really, really good coffee. Because if you give us good coffee, we can sell good coffee on to the people who drink it. We process the coffee and prepare it. We then sell it to the people who drink it. And they only want to drink good coffee. So you see how important you are. Because all of that happens after you've picked your coffee. So we are dependent on you very, very much. So what I'm saying to you today is thank you very much for picking the best coffee from PNG that we can buy and sell to the people who drink it. Thank you very much.
I have a very simple message for you at the moment. We're entering into a period where coffee prices are going to be very good. And what you need to think about is how you look after your coffee, because it will look after you. You've got to treat coffee as a business. You've got to see coffee as something that you engage in to earn lots of money. You've got a great start here, but what you need to do is look after your coffee. You've got to invest in your coffee because prices are going to be good maybe for 1-2 years and then they're going to fall again.
So they're very interested to look at the way you do your coffee field as opposed to Colombia or Costa Rica or Brazil or where we've seen coffee growing before. So they'll be looking at the way you organise your farms, the way you organise your quality controls, and then in the end, of course, the way that the coffee tastes. So by coming to your country, that's the things that they're looking for. Some of the people have never been to coffee before, so they're very keen to see it being picked. They're very keen to see the pulping and the processing and the drying, and then learning through that how important it is to make sure the processes are up to scratch, to make sure that the washing doesn't happen too late and we get fermentation, to make sure that the pulping takes place quickly so we don't get fermentation. So they'll learn all these various things that are important to make that coffee bean special. And then, of course, to see how the selection process is done in the country for picking out beans that aren't up to scratch, getting rid of your broken beans and your pales and your blacks, clearing the sorting process. So they'll be coming to learn all those things.
The future of PNG Coffee will be very fruitful, I think, because it has a potential, but it needs more care, more attention. You have place to improve, generally in respect of the quality. This is why I'm here, because I wanted to find good quality coffee. To improve that, it needs attention more on the production side and processing as well.
A follow-on visit throughout Ayura Valley was organized to meet, see and talk to different stakeholders and gauge their views on their involvement in the industry.
The trees are extremely tall here. So when you go to other coffee plantations, and then I use the word plantation, because mainly when you have about plantation coffee, that are the most plantations that I saw until now. So plantation coffee is quite the same than the other countries. Variety is definitely different. The way that they keep the ground, let's say with the grass, is also different. But what I didn't expect at all is that the coffee trees are so tall here, and to harvest the coffee they really have to take the tree and to pull him down and to make the picking. It's extremely hard work.
We don't have the land area in terms of producing the volume, but if we can focus our attention on producing good quality coffee, I think we can continue to demand good prices for our farmers. So
Last year we only get about 50% of the crop. And one thing about increase in price, we have more people coming in to collect pick coffee, even though they're not part of the system. So we're having this problem so we're thinking more strategically now. If you can make enough money, why planting 20 hectares if you can make it from 5 hectares? Huh? And that's where you guys become very important. You see, specialty coffee becomes important.
We had several cuppings, and there was, in all the cups that we could have until now, there was maybe only one cup in the more of 20, 30 cups that we drank. There was maybe one cup that was, there is maybe a problem in there. But all the rest was absolutely fantastic. And it is really what I could expect from Papuasian coffee that we already buy. So I have some experience with Papuasian coffee because we buy it on the company something like 2 or 3 containers a year. And what was my surprise is that the very good ones, they are extremely good. They are fruity, well balanced, with a bit sweetness in there. It's really a very interesting coffee with floral aspects. But I will say that for my taste profile, it's more like blackcurrant aspects in this coffee. And that's really what I expected of that coffee.
No, because yes, it can be interesting to get it, but sometimes you have a bit grounded coffee in there, and then you have a powdery reaction on the tongue. It's not exactly what
it's a different mouthfeel.
Yeah.
No acidity in these two.
There are also other good coffees on the market, but we can now really confirm that the specialty coffee coming from Papuasia, it's really in the range of the top coffees in the world. And so definitely, yes, there is a market for Papuasian specialty coffee all over the world, not only in Europe. Yeah.
And there are a number of groups in the country who are affiliated with those specialty associations and actually supplying coffee to them. So, and they're getting good premium prices for it. As you know, the requirements for those specialty markets are quite stringent, and there are conditions that our farmers have to comply with in order to qualify to meet the demands of the specialty market. But I think in the long term for smallholders, that's a way forward for the coffee industry, and we hope that we can continue to maintain and sustain that. But of course, the demand is to ensure that our farmers actually produce good quality coffee. And this is where the coffee industry is really trying to ensure that our farmers actually comply with the stringent requirements and producing good quality coffee so that they can continue to entertain and also get good prices for the coffee. I think that's the challenge now that we have.
I think there's got to be a number of things that we've got to do. One of the stories I've been saying is that the growers and the people who sell the coffee have got to understand the quality of their coffee more. So I want to see more people cupping coffee, tasting their coffee. Cupping's put forward sometimes as an intricate art that only a few people can aspire to, which is rubbish. Anyone can taste coffee. We all got good taste buds in our mouths. We can all taste coffee. Sometimes you need to be trained to be able to taste differences. But unless you know how good your coffee is, how can you know how much it's worth? That's my central message, is that you must know your coffee in order to be able to know what it's worth. And if you know it's poor, then I think most people will try to improve it. If they know what the coffee they're producing tastes bad, you know what? They will do something about improving it. They will actually make the effort. But if they don't know what they're producing tastes bad, then as far as they're concerned, that's fine. If somebody's prepared to buy it, I'll sell it. But as soon as they get involved in quality and thinking about quality and tasting their coffees and understanding quality, then they will produce better quality coffee.
A visit to different sites and facilities in the city of Lae was organized.
And I think the people that have come this time have all had a fantastic experience, because we've been able to see coffee from the small farmers, the smallholders. We've seen some bigger farms, and we've seen some exporters who are also doing some some selection work. So we've seen all the different people in the process here. And it's been a different experience because last year I took a party to Brazil. And in Brazil, it's all big time. Massive pulping works and mills, production works. And here we've got completely the opposite. So it's been a great experience to be able to see right the opposite end of the scale, from massive farms to small farm holders who are taking care of their own crop.
So all our coffee generally comes into here, and then we sort it, we handle it, prepare it. That's out here. The girls in the office, we do all the documentation, pay the levies, etc. Everything, get everything together, and then hopefully everything is in green lane for export.
I think we were fortunate to have those people with us. You know, they're about 2,000 members, spread right throughout Europe, and they normally have every year trips to origins, you know, to places where they think there are exciting coffee that they can identify and connect with our farmers who are actually growing it. So we were privileged to have those people with us, and I was happy that the coffee industry is able to facilitate taking them right throughout the Highlands province, from Hagen right through to Chimbo, Eastern Islands, and down to Morobang. And I think it's an opportunity for them to see what we have, what we can offer to those specialty markets in Europe, because market is now diversified. It's just moving from one extreme to the other. So for them, it's about finding that special coffee that they can tap into those markets. And this is where we have the potential to benefit from.
For the Papuasian coffee, maybe it will be a bit easier, because I heard here, and I found it so fantastic, that everything what grows here, that maybe was God's decision, everything what grows here is always good. So there is definitely a future for the Papuasian coffee, but I'm convinced about that. I am absolutely convinced, because you are aware, you listen, and you really would like to have good quality.
The onus is on us, Papua New Guinea, and our coffee farmers. The focus is really on the farmer and the tree. For the farmer to ensure that he produces that special coffee that the market demands. And to be able to do that, the message I think at the end of all this is that farmers must know their coffee. They must understand their coffee. They must taste the coffee. They must profile their coffee so they know exactly what quality coffee they're producing. So once they know the quality of the coffee that they're producing, then they're in a position to demand the price for the coffee. And I think that's a challenge that we hold there.
Re